Yeah, and then all right. The other thing that happened, it wasn't just that Aussie Open has vacated the titles. Since we last had this show, Aussie Open have been announced as new members of the AEW roster. They have been, they are now elite and all that. So this goes back to something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Jeremy, which is they are getting a second national television show on Saturday, AEW Collision. They now have 5 hours of TV to fill a week with Rampage. If you want to count Ring of Honor, it's 6. And I guess they feel like they need wrestlers, and I suppose they do. Now, they have a roster full of guys who aren't making it on TV now, but none of those guys are really particularly over, and I think a lot of them don't have a ton of potential to get over. So with this new show, they're going to need new guys, and I mentioned this could be a tricky thing for New Japan. It might be a little more difficult to get and keep those two things, get and keep really good foreign talent, just because now there's even another national television show that has to be filled with charismatic performers. Aussie Open are certainly that. Tony Khan understands a great tag team when he sees one, and he snatched him up as soon as he could. Even though Mark Davis is injured right now, they still signed him. You know, they had that match with Kyle Fletcher and what was it, Orange, right? Yeah, and terrific job Kyle did in that match right there, which
with the immediate graphic of being all elite afterward.
yeah, no kidding. I guess he signed the contract during the match at one point when he was thrown out of the ring.
Strike while the iron hot. To give Tony Khan credit, though, I understand that he paid for the surgery, the MCL surgery.
Good.
For Davis.
Wow, cool. That's nice. And Tony understands that that's a great team. I don't blame him for signing him. It does make me a little bit worried that the really good foreign talent might not be available. Now, because they're in AEW doesn't mean they can never be in New Japan, not even close. We're seeing all kinds of crossover. But as far as just being tour after tour after tour and a consistent one, I don't know.
You may be seeing them on New Japan strong domestic shows more than you're seeing them on main New Japan shows on the regular, if not the big shows. Just regular booking on New Japan is gone. Their priority is AEW. I will be okay for the big programs if they show up, because they were fast getting to the point where they were big match stars that shouldn't have been on the mid card all that much longer.
Colin mentions the AEW is huge. There definitely needs to be some brand split of some sort. Yeah, they're not sure if they're going to do that or just kind of keep people apart. There are certain people that can't be with other people in AEW. So, and without getting into all that, because we only have a 90-minute
minefield.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think there's going to be a group of guys that are mostly on Saturdays and mostly on Wednesdays. And just like with WWE, there's probably going to be some crossover, whether they admit that there is or not. But it's a thing where Aussie Open, and I love this one. Here's let's go into the tinfoil hat thing from Brad here. I like it. Tinfoil hat. Ghetto allows Tony Khan to sign these talents since AEW can pay more, with the caveat that they will work NJPW when needed. The only issue with that is if you're the guy paying them, you decide when and where they work. And here's the thing about Aussie Open. They're really friggin' good. So if Tony gets them and then he starts saying, these guys are great, I'm going to put them in a major program and either put them in the tag team title picture or give them a major feud. And all of a sudden it's a little trickier to say, I don't know, Ghetto. I kind of need them there. I can't really let them go for 3 weeks for a tour here. I don't know. You start to see them less and less and only on special occasions. And I think that Aussie Open are talented enough to get over to the point that maybe we don't see him as much in Japan, which is unfortunate. And maybe I'm just glass half empty on that from a New Japan perspective. They're awfully good. I don't see them floundering to the point where Tony Khan just says, "Yeah, take them for a few weeks."
If I could book this the way I want to book this, is FTR faces the winner of the Dominion match, and they take the titles. So FTR has all 3 titles, the Strong, the IWGP, and the AEW titles. After that, Aussie Open returns and challenges them for All In at Wembley, and they take all the titles. And then on sparse defenses here and there going through the World Tag League, Aussie Open is around, perhaps they drop the AEW title so that they're not the focus of the division there. You take them to Wrestle Kingdom, and then you figure it out from there. But I do feel like the rest of 2023 with New Japan, while not as frequent, will be important for them, and they will be a huge factor of it. The other thing I wanted to point out with all this, as we were speaking about United Empire, is that Will Ospreay came out with an interview today with Chris Van Vliet on Insight, and he said that he is expecting to work out something with New Japan Pro Wrestling in the foreseeable future because he does not want to move to America, and the lifestyle that he wants to lead is contingent on that. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a lock with New Japan, but this is strong negotiating power for him to make it clear what he wants out of the future. And if New Japan can make that work, he will want to be with New Japan. The ball is in New Japan's court. They're giving him all. He's giving them all the information about what they need, what he needs to make it work. Is Ospreay important enough to do that for them? I sure as hell hope so. But, you know, we don't know until we know.
So we'll see how this all turns out. And I'm rooting for there to be cooperation so that these people can make their appearances back and forth and things. But I do worry a little bit about that. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, totally fair to worry. Like, everything can change in an instant with the talent that is available at New Japan. 7 years ago, every time you turn around, a talent was getting poached for WWE for their developmental territory, and they were looking for the next people up. We may be in a similar scenario, but at least this time with AEW, there is an opportunity for cooperation so that the door isn't closed and you say goodbye forever. The Jay White thing really changed the dynamic of how they have to work through when a talent leaves, because they created some unnecessary barriers that made a little more headaches with booking that they needed to, and they're going to have to work that out in the near future.
My only reason for being skeptical of that scenario you laid out for the tag team titles is we just went through half a year where they couldn't get the hands on their own tag team champions. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know if you get AEW contracted talent and just give them the belts and hope that you can make deals for them to come and make defenses again 2 years in a row. But maybe Ghetto just thinks, well, we can feature other titles.
If it's a big moment, though, and they were able to really put a spotlight on that in front of 65,000 people, sometimes you just got to do